At the end of this video, we'll take a look at Mad Ramp's innovative pivoting ramp system, the safer, easier way to transport your ATVs and snowmobiles. Stick around. Before we begin, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our friends at the historic Lancaster Motel in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Lancaster Motel has been serving snowmobilers since the 60s, and they are the perfect eastern trail riding destination for snowmobilers young and old. The Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5 in Lancaster, New Hampshire, with plenty of parking for vehicles, sleds, and trailers. Plus, the Lancaster Motel is within walking distance of Crane's Snowmobile Museum, plus restaurants, shopping, entertainment, and more. Click the link in the description to learn more about the Lancaster Motel. My mic just muted for some reason and my phone's going nuts. Okay, Murphy's Law. You cannot, Murphy's Law happens every time. There's no escaping it. Anyway, I'm really glad you're here tonight, and if you're in the East, you are celebrating on this fine evening because we are getting tons and tons and tons of snow. So wherever you are, I hope you're getting some of that as well. And that's the reason I've called you all here today, because our good friends at the Lancaster Motel are getting tons and tons of snow as well, and they would like to invite you to come by for some trail riding. Also, the Lancaster Motel is just a short walk from Crane's Snowmobile Museum. So it's a great way to mix your interest in modern snowmobiles and vintage snowmobiles all in the same trip. So we invite you to come out and check out the Lancaster Motel, do some trail riding. And when I say historic Lancaster Motel, I am not kidding about that word historic. Let me get my list. That's how much... how do I get this in front of the camera? That's how historic this place is. Okay, so the first Ski-Doo snowmobiles were imported into the U.S. in Lancaster, New Hampshire, and the gentleman who was involved with that is still alive and kicking in Lancaster, and he is the one that owns Crane's Snowmobile Museum. So there's no better place to trail ride in the East and mix modern and vintage snowmobiling than in Lancaster at the Lancaster Motel. And the Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5. And after you've done your day of riding or whenever you'd like to do it, you can take a quick walk over to Crane's Snowmobile Museum. Now, it is by appointment only at the museum, so you do want to call ahead. Once you've booked your room at the Lancaster Motel, you want to call Crane's Snowmobile Museum and book a time to go into the museum. Now, The museum is offering a special right now. It's a twofer, 2 nights for the price of one. It has to be on weeknights, but for the month of February, they're offering a twofer, 2 nights for the price of one on a weeknight. Now, you're welcome to try to book something on the weekend, but it does fill up quickly, and it would be at a different rate because there's more demand, obviously, on the weekend. But you're more than welcome to try that as well. But if you want to save some money, get a great deal on some snowmobiling, book something during the week and take advantage of that too for offer. Now, the Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5. It's literally in the back of the motel. There's plenty of parking for your vehicle, for your trailer, for your sleds. You pull the sled off the trailer and you're right there on the trail. You can go literally from your door. Now, let me get back to the history. So not only were the first Ski-Doo snowmobiles imported into the U.S. through Lancaster, New Hampshire, that was in 1959. So that is pretty much the beginning of snowmobiling. Lancaster, New Hampshire is also the home of the first snowmobile club in the United States of America. So if you want to ride on some of the oldest, most historic trails in the U.S., this is where you'll be doing it, right out of the Lancaster Motel. And I've got a link in the description where you can contact the Lancaster Snowdrifters Snowmobile Club, and you can find out what are some of those legacy trails, what are some of those earliest trails that people were trail riding on. Also, as far as history, racing in Lancaster, some of the first racing and earliest racing in the East since I think the early 60s. They had the Grand Prix, the Lancaster Grand Prix, all through the 60s and through the 70s. And most of those race teams, you think of Bob Eastman, the legendary Polaris racer who just passed away. He used to stay at the Lancaster Motel. Most of those race teams stayed at the Lancaster Motel, and they would have the they would have the award ceremony right there at the Lancaster Motel in the lobby. Let me see if I have a photo of the lobby. Now, this is the lobby. And the Lancaster Motel was built in the late 50s, but it has recently been renovated by the new owners. So it's got a really cool retro vibe that you'll enjoy especially if you were around back in those days. But it's got all of the modern amenities that you would ever want, as far as cable TV and Wi-Fi and everything you could possibly want. This is another angle in the lobby there. This is the bar. They've also got a humidor for cigars. So if you like cigar smoking, that is certainly an option. Here are a couple of shots of the rooms. You can see they've redone the floors and the walls. Everything has been redone, renovated in there. So it's just like a brand new motel, but it's got a retro vibe. And as you can see here, plenty of parking for vehicles, for trailers, for snowmobiles. And of course, these are the nice people who will be taking care of you while you're there. So it's a great opportunity for great value in trail riding in the East, one of the great trail riding destinations in the East. And I guarantee you this, you will not find a trail riding destination that is more steeped in history, snowmobile history, than the Lancaster Motel. And of course, the town of Lancaster. I have to continue with my list. The Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame is based in Lancaster, New Hampshire. Also, the Lancaster Grand Prix, which they don't do anymore, but they've got the Lancaster Snow Derby, which is kind of a continuation of that. They have Crane Snowmobile Museum, which I talked about a moment ago. Now, every year, Paul Crane, the owner of Crane Snowmobile Museum, has a vintage snowmobile show, and sadly, it has been canceled. It was going to be this coming weekend, but that is a show you want to think about for the future. Every year, first Saturday in February, he does that show, and that is very much worth a look. And you can stay at the Lancaster Motel, and it's a short walk over to the show. Sadly, he's not doing it this year, but you can go in there still and tour the museum. You do have to book in advance, schedule it in advance. I think it's $5 to get in. It's very nominal, but he also has T-shirts and hats and things like that that you can purchase to commemorate your stay there. And let's see here. I've also got an interview lined up. This is an interview of the owners of the motel, kind of telling their perspective on everything. And this is an interview I did with them after the induction ceremony for the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame this past September. Now, you've heard me talk a lot on this podcast about the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. They host the after party after the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So everyone either walks or drives over. It's just one block, just a few hundred yards from the ceremony at the museum to the motel, and that's where the after party happens. And the after party is where everyone celebrates and has a few drinks and talks and shares stories and gets pictures taken, and yeah, it's just a wonderful time. So anyway, without further ado, here's a quick look. Here's a chance for you to meet the owners of the historic Lancaster Motel.
We're sort of at the southern end of the trail system. And what's great about this property is it is on the trail system. In other words, you can park your rig outside your door here at this property, get on it in the morning and take off. You're on quarter 5. You don't have to get to quarter 5. Right. You're on it. Exactly. And in addition to that, the configuration of the motel, which you can see, has the parking for the snow machines, for the trailers, for their trucks. That patio is opened up. It's all available for them to park right pretty much in front of their door. Yeah. In addition to that, we made sure that we were noted on the trail map system as a parking location. So even if you're not staying here, you can park your rig here and take off. Nice. We also have room out back, a pretty good sized field that can probably accommodate, I don't know, maybe 10 machines, 10 rigs. And that's an area that we park their snow machine, trailers, and so on, and they can stay there, either if they're guests of ours for multiple days, or if they're just going to park and ride and then load up and go back home. So we have a way to accommodate probably, I mean, my competition, they're good people, but they don't have the parking capability. They're not on the trail. So we are really set up for the snowmobiling. Yeah. Plus, we have some other options to, I think, accommodate those folks that really want to make a season of snow machining, in that we have a number of rooms that are available as seasonals, in that we can, person can make this their condo or their camp. They have a camp in the North Country. Basically, you rent the room for the month, it's your room. Yeah. Or through the season, but I mean, a month at a time, it's your room. You bring up all your stuff, all your equipment, all your clothes, keep it in the room. Throughout the week, it's there. You get off work Thursday night, you get in your car, drive up here, bam, and start. So, you don't have to hook up and pull your equipment and unload. It's all here. Yeah. So it's just an option. That's not going to work for everybody. But there are some people who will find that to be a quick and easy way to have their own property in the North Country.
Yeah, for the right person, that's a really good situation.
Right. Yeah, so we have a number of rooms that are set up for seasonals. We have the parking, we have the space. We're on the quarter 5. And most importantly, Ruby and I love snow cheaters. Nice. We had our first season in this hospitality industry last year, and they were our favorite group. Yeah. They've got great energy. They're out in the day having a good time, and they come back and maybe a little bit of circus water, and they can tell you the stories, and it's fantastic. So we had a good time with those groups, and we had a couple of groups that came twice throughout the season, and we're all friends now.
Right. Nice. Well, and the thing about this property, first of all, for me, historically, this is the epicenter of Lancaster. Yeah. And a lot of these fellows that, and women that were here today actually stayed here back in the day. Yeah. And so we're just trying to give that back to the community, and the snowmobilers allow us to do that because this is like ground zero for snowmobiling. Right. So we feel like we should be an intimate part of that. Yeah. So that we're reaching out to them in any way we can, making them part of our
reciprocal situation.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Right.
And they can walk to town, and our downtown is up and coming, and they can walk to things, and they don't have to drive down the street or walk down the street a half mile. Right. It's just a few hundred feet, and you're
in the middle of all the action. The brew pub, the award-winning brew pub, that's actually voted 3rd year in a row as the #1 brew pub in the state. Yeah. It's literally, I can throw a rock, just about. After a couple of beers, I probably could throw the rock out there. But anyway, the fact is, it's right down the street. The bakery and breakfast restaurant right down the street. The art gallery right down the street. Literally, you would not get in your car. You would walk to those things. They're that close. Yeah. And so having all that, having Lancaster in the palm of your hand, connecting to a property that had a great history with snow machining, and to really re-emphasize what you said, this is where it started.
That's true.
Exactly.
This is where it started,
and I think we need to reclaim that. Right. The same way we're trying to reclaim this motel. Sure. I think we need to reclaim that history. I think it's gone out into the world, and we're sort of forgotten. Yeah. And I'd like to see us, back on the map for that again.
Yeah. If people connect their memories to this, and it's a way to reconnect the memories and keep it alive. And
exactly.
Absolutely. That's right. And so that's what we're trying to do with this motel in general. Yeah. But this is one important aspect of it that we can tap into and relight that history, which is fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool. And I'm sure it's well received because all the memories and history here is just everyone loves it.
You know this.
If you were part of it, it's a fire that continues to burn in your mind.
And they did have a vintage snowmobile race here this past winter. And maybe that's something that we can start doing, being known for these types of vintage races.
Being in the loop on that, associated with it.
We had a Grand Prix. We could bring the Grand Prix back. I mean, there's so many dedicated people. We just need to figure out how to get everybody together on the same page so that we can all benefit in our community. So you can start seeing some economic energy from it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the motel, I mean, our effort has been well received in the community. This was an important property for the community for years. Yep. And it was somewhat disconnected in the last 10, 15 years to circumstance. But now, as we reconnect to the community, we have a tremendous support, which is actually almost emotional for me. Yeah. These people being my neighbors, have come out and helped us in many ways and support us. And so you've got a property with new floors, new mattresses, new cable, new TVs, new Wi-Fi. And so these are things that make this a comfortable stay. You're not going to get French soap or anything. Sure. But it's a great stay for a snow machine weekend.
For sure, yeah. All the modern things you would want.
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. Media bar.
That's right, media bar. And you saw the actual bar coming back to life. Right. Yeah. It'll be a month or two, and then you can I guess, sort of embellish your stories with a little bit of fuel.
Absolutely.
In
The stories flow better after a couple.
They do, that's right. Very good.
Fish gets bigger.
Yeah, the fish gets bigger, exactly.
Very good. Ice fishing. It's,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's pretty much what we're about.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so in case you're just joining us, the Lancaster Motel in historic Lancaster, New Hampshire, is offering a two-for deal, 2 nights for the price of one on weeknights through the month of February for snowmobilers to do some trail riding in historic Lancaster at the historic Lancaster Motel, where you're just a short walk away from Crane Snowmobile Museum and all of the incredible history in Lancaster. In case you didn't catch this earlier, the first snowmobile club in America started in Lancaster, New Hampshire. So some of the earliest trails that people were trail riding on in the East were right there in Lancaster, and you can ride on those. You can contact the Snowmobile Club. There's a link in the description. You can find out what are those legacy trails if you want to ride on some of the earliest trails in America. Also, the Crane Snowmobile Museum is just a short walk away. And if you're going to book some time at the motel to do some trail riding, you also want to call ahead to Crane Snowmobile Museum. It's always good to schedule it ahead of time because it is by appointment only. It's only $5 to get in the museum. It's a 50 by 100 foot building, and he has over 100 historic snowmobiles in there. I'm getting a graphic for you on that. Yeah, that's a picture of the building right there. And it's just an incredible experience. If you love vintage snowmobiles and you want to combine that with some modern trail riding, you can't find a more historic destination than Lancaster, New Hampshire. And of course, the best place to stay is the Lancaster Motel. That's where all of that history happened. Legendary Polaris racer Bob Eastman used to stay there when they used to have the Lancaster Grand Prix. And the Lancaster Motel used to host the award ceremony back in the 60s and 70s for all of those racers and for the trophies and everything. Now, you heard a moment ago, Brian, the owner of him and his wife are the owners of the Lancaster Motel. They were talking about how you can rent there by the month during the snowmobile season. You tow all your gear up there, leave it there for a month or for the season, and you don't have to tow it up there each and every time. And the same with all of your gear, your suits, your helmets, and all of that gear. You tow it up there once, leave it for the season, and they've got a really good deal for that. So if you wanted to book that for the month of February or the month of March, that's certainly an option. But the reason I've called you all here today is because they've got a twofer on weeknights. If you can book two weeknights for the price of one. Now, 2 things you need to do if you're going to do this. Number 1, you need to have a Snowmobile Club membership card that you can show them in order to get this discount. So if you ride with the local club, you can show them that card. Or another option, if you want to join the first snowmobile club in America, that is the Lancaster Snowdrifters, just to get that card and say, hey, I'm a member of the first snowmobile club in America, established in 1964. The link to the Lancaster Snowdrifters is below. Just click on there and join the club, and you can show them that membership card. And that's just something maybe as a memento you can have and put it in a frame and just have for years to come, that you're a member of the first snowmobile club in America. It's an incredible thing. Some of the oldest trails, and if you contact the club, they'll tell you what some of those oldest trails are. So if you want to go where everyone used to ride in the 60s and 70s on those old trails, they keep them up, more in a more modern fashion now. But those are some of the oldest trails in America. It's an incredible thing. Anyway, the other thing I mentioned, there's 2 things you need to do to take advantage of this 2 nights for the price of 1 deal on weeknights. Please mention to them that you heard about this from Mike at VintageSnowmobileLovers.com. You see my name there at the bottom of the screen. Just make a note of that if you would. Let them know that that's where you heard about this when you contact the Lancaster Motel. Also, when you contact Crane's Snowmobile Museum. These are all good friends of mine. So do let them know that their friend referred you to them. And my name, of course, is Mike at VintageSnowmobileLovers.com. Well, that's about all I have for you tonight. I thank you for stopping in for a few minutes just to hear about this. We've got all this snow that's just come in. The trails are going to be in excellent condition. They already were, but with this snow, the groomers are out, and over the next few days, the trails are going to be at their peak. It's just, there's no better time to do some trail riding, and it's going to be really nice here throughout this month. So do give some consideration. You're not going to find a better and more historic place to do trail riding than at the Lancaster Motel in historic Lancaster, New Hampshire. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave you with this word from Mad Ramps. If you like what you see and decide to order, click the link in the description and I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs. Thanks so much for watching and have a nice evening.
It's the ultimate combination of simplicity and ingenuity. The newest way to load, unload, and transport your ATV or UTV. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Made in the USA and engineered for strength and durability. Maneuver through tight places and over rugged terrain with plenty of ground clearance. No licensing, no ongoing maintenance costs, and no storage hassles like trailers. Won't slip or move like conventional ramps. Free up more cargo space in the bed of your truck. Securely connects to your truck's receiver hitch. Easily extends for safe loading and unloading. Seamlessly retracts for highway and off-road travel. DOT approved in all 50 states and Canada. Quickly disconnects in under a minute. A unique space-saving storage system. The Mad Ramps Pivoting Ramp System. Go farther. Go faster. Go safer.
When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs. When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs.